Welcome back, guys. We're here on day 18 for extreme programming. We're going to be pushing the limits of collaboration, coding, and quality. And so the objectives for day 18, and by the end of this chapter, you will understand these objectives. They go like this. Understand the core principles and practices of extreme programming. Learn how XP roles, processes, and techniques contribute to agile projects. Identify scenarios where XP is the most effective approach. Connect XP practices to PMI framework and PMP exam concepts, and then apply XP principles to real-world project scenarios and PMP questions. So, what is XP, or extreme programming? Well, extreme programming is an agile framework designed to improve software development quality and responsiveness. It emphasizes customer satisfaction, rapid iterations, and close collaboration. While commonly used in software projects, its principles and practices can inspire efficient teamwork and high-quality deliverables in any project environment. So, if you're preparing for the PMP exam, understanding XP's core concepts will help you identify how its practices align with agile methodologies and improves project outcomes. So some key features that we're going to focus on here today, and there's 4 of them, right? Customer-centric development. Well, in XP, the customer is a part of the team, providing continuous feedback to the team to ensure the product meets their needs. An example of this is in a mobile app project, right? The customer reviews progress daily, ensuring the features align with their expectation. 2, frequent deliverable, right? That's the next key feature of XP, where XP prioritizes delivering small increments of the product frequently. This iterative approach allows the teams to adapt to changing environment, right? Or changing requirement. Example is that a development team delivers new functionality every week instead of waiting months for a major release. The third key feature that we're going to focus on is simplicity. It focuses on building only what is necessary, a minimal viable product, or a minimum viable product, right? You want to avoid unnecessary complexity, because as you move throughout this process, you will continuously add features. So start off with the minimum viable product first and build out from there. An example is for a website project, right? The team builds the core functionality first, deferring advanced features until they are proven essential, right? And then the 4th key feature we're going to focus on is technical excellence, right? XP emphasizes practices like test-driven development and continuous integration to maintain high quality. So what does that mean, right? Test-driven development, and I'll explain this because we're going to get into it a little bit deeper, is developing software with a outcome in mind. And so you create the test before you create the code, right? And so you work until the code can satisfy the test, right? Because you solidify the test in the beginning, you know what you're solving for. And so you know that once you've fixed the code to meet the test requirement, you've got a working product, right? And then continuous integration is just continuously integrating the new code into old code, ensuring that it works with the features. So let's say you build a website and now you're trying to build a new, right? And an about page for your company, right? Because you had just built the cover page or the landing page, and now you're going to build the about page for your company. You want to continuously integrate that code to make sure that it works, right? And that's how you maintain that high quality, and you don't get ahead of yourself because you may be doing something that messes up a link or breaks the link, and it doesn't allow the images to pop up, it doesn't allow the text to be in the right places, right? These are things that you would have to work through, but if you continuously integrate, then you'll be able to solve those problems earlier. So some core practices for XP, right? 1 is paired programming, right? You see this a lot, and you'll hear this a lot in the PMP exam. 2 developers work together on the same code. One writes the code while the other reviews it in real time. Now, when you do this, right, you need 2 competent people, right? This is not something where you as the project manager or you as a scrum master or you as the product owner are going and essentially checking the work of your developer. Hopefully you have 2 competent people that are able to do this themselves. This way they can be efficient together. And then 2, test-driven development, right? TDD. This is exactly what we just talked about. Writing tests before writing the actual code, right? It's important because it ensures the software meets the requirements and reduces defects, right? And then the 3rd one that we're going to focus on, and we have 5. I'm not going to go through all of them, but these 3 are most important. Continuous integration, just like I said recently for the key feature. Frequently integrated code changes into a shared repository to catch issues early, and that's what you want to do. Make sure that you're catching these things early so that you don't have to go back and rework all this on the back end. You also, right, don't have to go back and figure out where you messed up. You understand where you started off, and it hasn't been that much time or that much code between what you did either yesterday or the day previous before you try to integrate, and you understand that it's within this lines of code that I need to fix. And then you have refactoring and short iterations. Make sure you read through those, understand what they are, because as we move forward, I want you to be able to digest that information and utilize it for the questions. So the XP team roles that you'll see, right? Customer, developer, coach, tracker, right? So the customer provides requirements, feedback, and priority. The developers build their product, ensuring the quality and functionality. Coach guides the XP team in practices, facilitating collaboration. And the tracker monitors progress and ensures the team stays on track. Obviously, these names are self-explanatory, but they have some innate roles they have some innate tasks within these roles that you have to focus on. And we'll get to that at a later date. So benefits of XP. Improved quality, right? XP's emphasis on testing and refactoring ensures high quality deliverables. 2, it's faster delivery, right? Frequent iterations help deliver value more quickly. And that's always important in an ever-changing industry or ever-changing market because the demand is going to change like you see now, right? AI is being integrated into every single concept of life now, right? It's everywhere. It's in every single social media. It's a part of every app that you use, right? People are trying to utilize this new technology to their advantage. And so you're going to have to continuously integrate and continuously improve, and delivering value fast allows yourself to get out there, put your product out there, get it tested, let people understand, and maybe if you're just starting off, get your name out there, right? Let them know who you are, right? What your core is, and then you can start to add features on top of what you already have, on top of your minimum viable product, right? So third, the benefits of XP is the increased collaboration, right? Practices like paired programming foster teamwork and shared knowledge. As they go through the code together, they both share a key understanding, but they both can correct each other, which is most important, before each other makes mistakes, or they can help one write the code better, right? More efficiently, right? So that they get it done with less code, right? And maybe they catch a breaking code that they wouldn't have caught if they didn't have the other coder right next to them looking over the work that they've done. And then 4, adaptability, right? Continuous customer feedback allows a team to adapt to changing requirements. That's the one thing that you have to have as a project manager in general, but also your development team must adopt this type of mentality, because as you move throughout each process and each phase for XP, you're going to understand that things change and requirements change, and you're going to have to turn over new products and new code frequently. So the difference between XP and Scrum, right? We have the aspects there, which is focus, iterations, key practices, and customer role, right? So the focus between the difference is that XP focuses on technical practices and coding excellence, whereas Scrum focuses on team collaboration and sprint goals, right? So Scrum can incorporate a lot more than XP. XP, obviously, extreme programming is focusing on the coding side, whereas Scrum is more team focused and how they follow through with the project, right? XP, it may be one individual, 2 individuals, paired programming, right? It may be, and I'll say one individual because coding, sometimes the best coders, it's hard to come by, right? The best people are hard to come by in these instances, and they're working for one specific company. They're not working for multiple companies helping each other out. So it's hard to come by some great coders. It's also hard to come by 2 great coders to put together in order to make sure that they're able to produce something and check each other's work accordingly, right? And so that's why you'll see something like continuous integration, because they need to check their own work. Okay, does this work? Does my solution work with the existing code, right? They have to figure that out themselves a lot of the time. So that's why you see team collaboration versus technical practice. Technical expertise is valued more in XP than it is in Scrum. Although you need to have technical expertise in Scrum as well, it's almost vital in XP. Iterations, 1 to 2 weeks with a focus on frequent delivery, right? Versus 2 to 4 weeks with sprint reviews that you'll see for Scrum. And then some key practices and differences. You have sprint planning and daily stand-ups versus TDD, pair programming, refactoring, that type of thing. And then customer role, right? So the customer roles almost involve daily, whereas in Scrum, they provide input at the sprint review. So almost at the end of the project itself, right? Letting them understand what we accomplished, is this of value, right? They're testing it out. So how XP aligns with PMP framework? Well, XP focuses on software development. Its principles align with the PMI's broader project management framework, right? So customer collaboration, frequent deliverables, continuous improvement, right? Those are the 3 things that it aligns with. So as we move into XP into practice, right? A real world scenario, I want you guys to look at how this is actually thought out, right? And so you'll see a project, right, developing a new e-commerce website. And so you have initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing phases within this, right? And now I want you to realize that this is still agile, right? So these phases that we're talking about here necessarily aren't done in the same way that you would think of a predictive methodology. And so make sure that you keep that in mind. This is just outlining what you would do technically in these phases, because you always will have an initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and closing phase. It's just what order they go into and how much of it is happening simultaneously. So steps to apply XP for PMP success, right? 1, understand XP practices, right? Familiarize yourself with the concepts and practices that they use within extreme programming, and we've talked about them: TDD, paired programming, refactoring, right? Those are the three. Make sure you understand what they are. We have definitions that are going to be within the terms list for the flashcards, but also in the back of this book, right, we have the examples of how to utilize XP itself, and some of the best practices and them explained, right? Because that's the big thing, is you want to understand, okay, what is test-driven development? What's an example of test? What's an example of paired programming? What does it look like? When is it used? So we have that for you in the back of the book. Steps 2, and then the last one that we had, oh, my bad. The second one we had is recognize XP scenarios. So look for questions involving technical practices or rapid iterations. These often hint at XP, right? So 1 to 2 weeks, rapid iteration. And then focus on value delivery, right? Remember that XP prioritizes frequent, high quality deliverables and customer satisfaction. So if the customers aren't satisfied with the product, it doesn't matter, how short of the amount of time it took you to do it, you have to deliver that value. And so that's why you have that continuous involvement of the stakeholder, the customer, because you want to ensure that this is what they want, this is what they like, right? And so usually probably either have a focus group, a sponsor, somebody who has and this is what you would call a user story in Scrum, but they have the description of what the stakeholder or customer wants from the project. And so essentially they would use that as verification of the solution that you provide. And so now we're moving into practice scenarios for extreme programming. And like we've done before, I really want you guys to go through these practice scenarios, read them yourselves, think about them, right? So pause this video, think about this, think about the scenarios, answer them for yourself, how you would answer them, and then look at the suggested answer or the PMI aligned answer, because this is going to help you gain that PMI mindset moving into these practice questions. And so there's 5 scenarios that I want you to go through. Make sure you go through every single one of them, read through every single one of them, and then come back to this video. All right, cool. So you came back to this video. We're on day 18, practice questions. And like I've done before, I'm not going to read through the practice questions here. I have a whole playlist for the practice questions themselves. So I want you to go to that playlist. I'm going to break down each question, right? You should use this as a resource after you've already answered the questions and read the explanations, and then see how I actually broke them down in order to delete essentially 2 answer choices off the bat, and then choose between the good choice and the better choice, right? And so go through these 10 questions, read through them carefully, answer them accordingly, and we'll move forward. So end of day reflection, right? Extreme programming is more than a software methodology. It's a mindset of adaptability, collaboration, and continuous improvement. By understanding XP's principles, practices, and real-world applications, you'll be equipped to tackle the agile-related PMP questions with confidence. And that's why we're here, right? We want you guys to have a top-level view and then dive into these deep practices with extreme programming, test-driven development, paired programming. Dive into those yourself, and so you have a deep understanding of what it is. We just want to make you aware of them so that you can go out and do some self-study, and you know what to study. You're not just studying anything, and that's the whole point of this book, right? You can't cram 800 pages of the PMBOK into a textbook that matters, right? The PMBOK is a reference because it goes through every single ITTO. It has examples in there, right? But you would use that as a reference if you don't understand some of the stuff that we're talking about here, right? Because it's not a study tool. And that's why we wanted to put the most critical information in here for you guys, the concepts that are seen the most on the PMP exam in here for you guys, so that you guys just study that information, and we'll sprinkle in some other stuff, but to keep you curious and to make you aware of what's out there. But some of this stuff is concise for a reason. So with that being said, if you still want to study, what you should, make sure you're doing the processing map game and the flashcards. I know we're in the agile section. Continuously do the processing map game, get better at it. If you're not getting 100% every single time you do it, right, then you should stop. I'm sorry. If you're getting 100% every single time you do it, you should stop. If you're not, continue to do it until you get 100% time the first time you do it every time, right? Because if you get 100%, go ahead and stop. Go to the next day. You understand what's going on. The next day you get 90%, continue to do it until you get 100%. Flashcards, make sure you're learning those terms, 200 terms that you should know before taking your PMP exam. As you learn those terms, you'll understand this information a lot better. Just knowing those terms is going to help you understand what I'm talking about, moving into future concepts, but also what we've talked about previously. So without further ado, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we're going to see you tomorrow. Peace.